this upstart congressman. He wanted to shake the president's hand and get in a photo op while he's in massive scandal. Mitt Romney calls him out for that. He's getting dragged in the public. And so what does he decide to do? He decides to go on Twitter and start sparring with people who are calling him out. So I watched the Joe Biden speech, and I gotta tell you, the State of the Union, I think he did a good job. And most of the people who watched it seem to agree with me. And you can even see this on the CNN graph that's about to talk about the Mitt Romney story. Pre-speech, 50%, compared to 66 post-speech, who thinks that Biden's economic policies are moving in the right direction. That's a difficult thing to convince people of as a Democrat, because the idea is, in the back of most Americans, is Democrats are like the nice hippies who want to love everyone and are nice to gay people, while Republicans are like the mean, aggressive, like, we don't like the gays, but they're good with business. Like, that's like, I don't know, like, obviously I'm being hyperbolic here, but this is like, if you were to ask somebody to draw stereotypes of both parties, this is probably somewhere it would be on the spectrum, right? It'd be somewhere like that. It's very difficult to convince Americans that Democrats have the best economic interests of you at heart. But thankfully, it looks like Biden did a pretty good job at doing that convincing during the speech, with 66% of not Americans, but 66% of the people who watched the speech thinking that they're moving in the right direction. A 16% increase. Again, I said I thought this was Joe's best speech yet, and I do agree with that. I still think that. And it wasn't just that. Where was the other graphic I had pulled up? Let's see if I can find it. I had it here somewhere. I know I had it here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is. Biden's policies will move the country in the right direction versus wrong direction. And this is the result of a flash poll done on speech watchers right after the speech. So generally, it seems that Joe Biden's speech has been received by the majority of the people who watched it in the right direction. Whether or not this is going to lead to a huge boost in his polling numbers, I'm skeptical of that. Usually, while these speeches do get viewed by, millions of Americans, they don't usually amount to like 5 to 10 point jumps in polling. It might have a few digits, maybe 2 points, 3, 4 points if we're going crazy. But I doubt it's going to have a massive impact. Might have some, but it's more likely to have a smaller impact than a larger impact. What he does moving forward, moving into the campaign trail, that is going to be, I think, going to be the bigger contributor, everything moving past this point. But this is a good launching point for his campaign. Moving back to why we're talking about the speech, is that during the end of the speech, while the speech was closing down and, Biden was going around shaking everybody's hands, bumping shoulders, George Santos, the same George Santos who lied about what college he attended, lied about his mother dying on 9/11, lied about being Jewish, took money from money managers of Russian oligarchs, lied about, there's any countless number of things. He, of course, has been under ethics investigation. He has stepped down from his committees due to that ethics investigation, and to try to protect the Republicans from hypocrisy as they go after Ilhan Omar, he was trying to shake the president's hand. That guy, after embarrassing himself so much in public, decided that he believed he could shake the president of the United States' hand. Not only that, but of all the senators and, high-level politicians walking by, Mitt Romney sees this and he calls him out. Let's play the clip.
We had a pretty interesting moment ahead of the president's State of the Union address tonight. Republican Senator Mitt Romney had an encounter confronting GOP Congressman George Santos, who's under investigation for multiple lies, telling him, quote, "You don't belong here." He also apparently said to I'm looking at it right now, to George Santos, or he said to reporters about Santos, he should be sitting in the back row and staying quiet instead of parading in front of the president and people coming into the room. Now, not clear exactly what Santos's response, if any, was, although I think he later went on Twitter and said something nasty about, Mitt Romney, you'll never be president, which...
Okay, so that is true. George Santos afterwards went on Twitter, but I want to show you guys already. Like I have a few things to say here, but oh my God, he dogged on him. He dragged him. Right? I'm not a big Mitt Romney fan. Like, he's better than I think the majority of Senate Republicans, but that's like an extremely low bar. Like, I would never vote for him. Under basically all circumstances, I would still end up voting for a Democrat. I would still end up supporting somebody who's more left-wing than him. I don't agree with his economic policies. I don't agree with many of his social policies. We're just completely different on the political spectrum. But you can disagree with somebody on politics and still be able to see a liar, and still be able to see a snake, still be able to see somebody who's an embarrassment, walk up to them and say, this isn't your world. Get the fuck out of here. You're an embarrassment. Let's play a clip of Mitt Romney talking to reporters after this information spread everywhere that he called out George Santos. Let's play the clip.
You just said you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Why did you say that to me?
I didn't expect that he'd be standing there trying to shake hands with every senator and the President of the United States. That's, given the fact that he's under ethics investigation, he should be sitting in the back row and staying quiet instead of parading in front of the President and people coming into the room.
Did he respond to you?
Look.
Did he respond?
He says that he embellished his record. Look, embellishing is saying you got an A when you get an A minus. Lying is saying you graduated from a college you didn't even attend.
Oh my God.
And he shouldn't be in Congress. And they're going to go through the process and hopefully get him out. But
oh my God. He didn't just say he shouldn't be in Congress. He's like, I hope after this is all said and done, we kick him out of Congress. Like after the ethics investigation, I hope it leads to him being out of here. He's that much of a shameful mess. And the thing is, if George Santos gets kicked out, like, that's going to be a real difficulty for the Republicans holding that seat, because George Santos was elected with not a massive margin. He was elected in New York, replacing a Democrat. And so I already think if George Santos runs for re-election, it's going to be very difficult for him to win re-election. He's in an environment that's already like kind of inherently somewhat hostile to Republicans, and he's just showed himself to be a liar, a mess, and honestly embarrassing the voters that he constantly kind of like points to justify him being in Congress. Anytime someone's like, look, you lied here, he says, tell that to the people who voted for me. And I think the people who voted for him are thinking like, well, I voted for the George Santos whose mom died on 9/11, who graduated from this college, who worked at these banks and these financial institutions, who did all these things, not the liar and this totally separate person, right? I mean, even his name is kind of contrived. He didn't go by George Santos until he ran for office. That's how contrived and fake this person is. And so him being removed, honestly, might be even a better bet for the Republicans keeping the seat, because maybe if they ran somebody else, they could actually win re-election. But then again, running somebody who has not yet proven themselves the ability to win the seat is how Kelly Loeffler lost to Raphael Warnock, and how the Senate went blue in I believe it was 2018. Was it 2018 or 2020? No, I think it was the 2020 runoff. It was the 2020 runoff. So that's a risky strategy as well. So we'll see how the ethics investigations go. But let's finish the clip.
he shouldn't be there, and if he had any shame at all, he wouldn't be there.
Why did you make a point to say that, though? I mean, it was kind of out of your way to.
Well, he was standing right there in the aisle, shaking hands with everybody.
Did he respond to you?
He may have. I didn't hear
Are you
anything he said.
disappointed that Kevin McCarthy is not calling him to resign?
Yes.
Damn, not only is he calling out George Santos, after reporters like, hey, do you think it's bad that Kevin McCarthy hasn't called him to resign? He says yes. Now, you want to know why Kevin McCarthy hasn't called him to resign? Well, number one, he's, it's cynical politics, the political game, as it were. But also, they have a very, 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 very slim majority, and George Santos is so politically vulnerable. Kevin McCarthy can literally just grab him by the shirt of his collar, drag him to the House floor, say, vote for this, and he's gonna do it. Because George Santos is in survival political mode, right? He's trying to figure out how he's gonna win re-election and not get, kicked out of his office through an ethics investigation right now. And Kevin McCarthy is one of the few people who might possibly have his back. Maybe. And to Kevin McCarthy, even though George Santos is an embarrassment, he makes his party look bad, might even be long-term more trouble than he's worth, because this is somebody who has constantly shown his propensity to lie and get caught in those lies, because the lies he told were not oh, I got, like Mitt Romney said, oh, I got an A plus, it was actually an A minus. His lies are, my mother died on 9/11. Oh, what a tragedy. Just bizarre lies that are not that hard to disprove. And the thing is, every month Every month since he's been elected, we've discovered more lies and more scandal. Now he's in financial trouble as well, where he's possibly stolen money from a charity he was working off. It was a big scam. That's still being investigated. I mean, it's not only the lying, it's more than that. Like taking the money from the Russian money managers, taking over $50,000 from them as their money managers for Russian oligarchs. And while he was taking that money from the Russian oligarchs, from the Russian money managers, he was condemning Ukraine as an autocracy, a dictatorship, so evil. Then Ukraine gets invaded. Oh, did you guys know I'm Ukrainian on my mother's side? That's how much of a snake he is. Mitt Romney sees it. He sees that it's probably more damaging for the Republican Party long term than it is helpful in the short term. And he's like, look, Kevin McCarthy, I'm kind of ashamed for him for not doing this, for embarrassing the whole party, me included. Which I honestly, I kind of sympathize with Mitt Romney's position here. And so that's probably why he confronted George Santos on the House floor. Anonymous Square, thank you so much for the Prime, being sub for 8 months. I honestly appreciate it. Now, George Santos has been reacting to him getting dragged by Mitt Romney by telling the event a little differently than Mitt Romney told it. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Representative George Santos describes to me his exchange with Senator Mitt Romney during the State of the Union tonight. Mitt, you don't belong here. Santos, go tell that to the 142K that voted for me. Mitt, you're an ass. Santos, you're a much bigger asshole. Okay, so I gotta say, this reads like a shower thought. This reads like somebody debating a shampoo bottle in their shower. Like, you know, he would say this, and then I would say this, and then everybody would be like, man, George Santos is so cool. I love him now. Let's make him chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. I don't know exactly how he pictured this in his head, or if this is a lie. Obviously, I don't trust George Santos much farther than I can throw him, and I can't throw him that far, I'm going to be honest. So this could be completely fabricated, but let's say it is fabricated, even in his own fabricated reality, where his mom died on 9/11, he's Jewish, he's Ukrainian, unless it's when Russians are giving him money, all this nonsense. Even in his wildest dreams, his best clapback to Mitt Romney is basically, nuh-uh, no you, which is honestly kind of sad. Of course, this could be true, it could not be true. Mitt Romney says that he didn't hear what George Santos said in response, which is probably the funniest, unintentionally, the funniest thing Mitt Romney could have said. Basically, like, I don't know what he said. It sounded like he had marbles in his mouth. Either way, funny. It's funny because bad clapback if it did happen. It's even funnier if it didn't happen and he's lying, because this is the best clapback he can come up with hours later after talking to reporters. Either way, it's honestly pretty embarrassing. Obviously, George Santos did not come out of this looking pretty good. He looked like this upstart congressman. He wanted to shake the president's hand and get in a photo op while he's in massive scandal. Mitt Romney calls him out for that. He's getting dragged in the public. And so what does he decide to do? He decides to go on Twitter and start sparring with people who are calling him out. Probably the dumbest thing he could possibly do, considering it was on Twitter where he lied about his mom dying on 9/11 and he has a propensity to lie. So let's see what he said on Twitter. So this is from Richie Torres, which actually is a congressman who follows me on Twitter, so therefore I inherently endorse him. Kidding, of course. But Richie Torres talks about George Santos saying gaslighting is a George Santos specialty. George Santos responds to Richie Torres by saying, "Stop obsessing over me. I'm married." I don't have any commentary for this. I don't know what he even means by this. Why he tweeted this. I think it might be a play on the AOC, like, oh, all these people are just so, like, you know, they're talking about my looks all the time, like that comment she made a while ago that got like dunked on pretty hard by the right, because people were like kind of weirdly thirsting after her feet or talking about her and her husband's feet a lot. I don't know if it's like a play on that. I don't know if it's completely unrelated and he's just telling a random congressman. And that's the thing here. This isn't just like a random Twitter scroller. This isn't like, Cannabis Lover 42069 dip into the void or something, like some random rando on the internet, like Avatar Lover 92. This is a sitting congressman. This is a sitting congressman who is honest, is his work colleague. Could you imagine quote tweeting one of your work colleagues, whether you liked them or you didn't, and saying publicly, "Stop obsessing over me, I'm married"? And it's not only that he's doing that to a work colleague, which is already weird, kind of creepy, I don't know, but he's doing it while he's caught in scandal. He's trying to tweet through it. He's trying to use like, "Oh, I'm caught in drama," the streamer tactic. Just keep tweeting through it. If you just keep swinging, if you just keep going back, if you just keep swinging, you never stop, no defense, all offense, eventually we'll win. Like he's in the trenches, you know? He's in the trenches, just constantly fighting, constantly going forward, man. While everybody's just taking pot shots at him. George Santos is honestly his own worst enemy. And I think it's only a matter of time until he lies again, gets caught in another scandal, and then the ethics investigation is only going to get that much worse for him. He's going to be, out at best, a one-term congressman, in my view. At worst, not even one term if he's removed due to an ethics investigation. So right now, the clock is ticking for George Santos. He's going underwater. He's got two anvils connected to his feet. It's dragging him down. He's doing everything to stay above water, but it's inevitable because those two anvils are himself. There's nothing he can do.